Hello and welcome to Camera Review. Today we are looking at the new GH5s. It is a new camera that has been announced by Panasonic at the CES, and this is a camera that is going to change the way the filmmakers, independent filmmakers, are going to make movies, because this camera is specifically designed for the vlogger and the independent filmmaker. In the previous version, it had 20.3 megabytes of sensor, and now it has been reduced to 10. So what we're doing is we're getting much larger pixels, allowing the camera to perform better in low light. And beyond that, before we had to purchase vlogs separately to make the GH5 perform at its peak, delivering higher post-production capabilities. Now the vlog comes standard within the camera. Now, if you look at the specs on both of these cameras, what you're going to see is two things. One is they are basically identical. The only difference is that you're going to look at the HD, and the HD high frame rates has gone up from 180 to 240. So that means it's going to be able to deliver a much better, slower motion. But beyond that, it's going to give you an image where you are going to be able to slow motion to a point where you can shoot in low light. Before, when you were filming in the low light situations, what you had was the camera was going to have fixed pattern noises, and it was going to have a lot of distortion in terms of the image quality. So what we are having now is that we are having a quality that is way, way, way beyond what has been available with GH5. Remember, the GH5 delivered 12,800 ISO as it is top native ISO. Now it is going up over 51,000. So what that means is you're getting 3 to 4 times the amount of ability to use in low light. Of course, when we look at the basics, you're going to see that the camera does not perform that well above 6400. But if you are at 6400, you're going to get as much sharpness and as much quality as if you were shooting at 1600 ISO with the GH5. So what that means is that when you are in situations where there is very little available light and you're not able to light the scenario, you're going to be able to use this camera to deliver much higher performance. Now, on the slow side, what you can do is you can film in low light situations using the slow-mo, for example, in a boxing ring, or if you are, for example, having somebody walk in a dark alley, and the slow motion is going to look far better in quality, because, as you know, the number of frame rates that's going to have is going to reduce the amount of light that the sensor is going to get. But if the pixel sizes are larger, it means it's going to double the ability to capture higher quality. And we are seeing this is happening with the new GH5s, which is specifically designed for the videographer and also filmmaker in mind. Mind you, there are things that are going to be drawbacks. For example, if you're crazy about getting the 6K image, well, this is only going to shoot 4K. Well, if you're a photographer, 4K may be sufficient, but for those who want the 6K image, you have to go with the GH5. Beyond that, before, the GH5 had within the camera body stabilization. Now the camera stabilization has been nullified, so there is going to be no more in-body stabilization with the GH5s. Only thing that you can have is this lens stabilization, which is going to deliver performance, but not as much as the GH5 had. So GH5 has some of the drawbacks. So in order to compensate for that, what you need to do is get a gimbal that is going to reduce some of the shake and motions that you will do if you are going handheld. And more importantly, you have to use a lens like this one here, which is the 42.5, and it's going to have in-body stabilization within the lens. So it's going to deliver better performance. So it is important when you are filming to recognize the drawbacks of using a GH5s compared to GH5. Personally, if I had the choice between going with the GH5 or the GH5s, GH5s is far better to use as a film camera, and as a film camera, it performs exceptionally well compared to much more expensive cameras. Certainly, if you look at it from a Sony's perspective and you compare it to, for example, Sony a7S Mark II, it just destroys Sony because, first of all, you're looking at the megabits per second. You can record at 150, you can record at 400. 400 means you're going to get a lot more data that you can use in post-production to get high quality image versus what Sony is doing, which is about 100, 150. So that is not going to deliver as high quality. Beyond that, the 400 megabits means that you have a lot more flexibility when you are pulling highlights or shadows in the post. That is a beautiful advantage because what you're going to see is the colors are beautiful. And also, you're looking at it, it's 10 bits. 10 bits means a lot because there are no cameras in the current market that competes in the same level as the GH5. And GH5s is an improvement on that. So Panasonic has put a big distance between Sony and the current cameras in the lineup. If you are to compare this to any other market camera as a pro consumer camera, there is nothing that matches it or comes close to what this camera can perform. Also, if you looked at it at the GH5, you had to purchase the V-Log before. That was an additional cost. Now, V-Log is within the camera. Also, we're looking at the HDR, which is the high dynamic range. This camera is going to be able to do that as well. That means you are going to be able to capture images that is going to create a much better image quality for you. And if you also look at it, it has dual native ISO. What that means is you can shoot at 400 or 2500 depending on your situations. So if you, for example, in a well-lit situation and you have the lighting capabilities, you can keep your ISO at 400, shoot it as native, and you're gonna get this amazing quality. But if you're in a situation where you cannot actually use your camera with available light, the 2500 ISO is gonna give you that performance. So that was not available before, now it is available. And if you think of it from an engineering perspective, having twice the size of pixels on the same sensor means that you are able to gather twice as much light. So this is the reason why it has excelled beyond anything that is in the market. And for a camera at this price, you are beating anything that other cameras have been able to produce. As a buying decision, GH5s makes a great purchase decision. I provided links down below if you want to order this camera, and also our review on this camera with actual sample videos is coming up in our next review. So please stay tuned to watch our next video. Thank you. We appreciate you for watching.